traumatizing yourself.
Right. Or perceiving circumstances to be historical.
Right. So the eye movement thing or the buzzers kind of distract the brain in a way that you can pull this stuff out of your reptilian or animal brain where trauma plants itself.
Yeah.
And move it into the more cognizant thing. Kind of like almost spread it out or something.
Yeah, and I think just processing those emotions of grief, of anger, of sadness, of fear.
Yeah, I like it. The process where you start with the thing, and then you do the buzzers or the eye movement, and then you're like, where are you at now?
Yeah.
And you kind of go through that like 5 or 6 times until you see where you end up.
Yeah.
Even that process without buzzers or eye movement would be good.
Yeah.
But with it, to answer your question, I kind of was compulsively going over all the things that happened.
Yeah.
That week. Not so much that I felt like I didn't do what I could, but I didn't know she was dying. Mm. So, in retrospect, you're sort of like, that maybe I should have taken her. Like, it's not a lot of shoulda, woulda, coulda because what she had would have done her in anyways. But there are moments where they're just, you keep going back and you keep, so by reprocessing it seems to have subsided a little. I don't revisit it.
That's really powerful to not be in that loop because that is I believe that's what it's coming up for healing, right? So in doing this process, it's healing.
Right. So clearly what we're talking about is like a long period of different types of trauma, right?
Yeah. What started happening was I started kind of hiding, like going underground, like wanting to have, do my career and getting this acting work and stuff. But I would start like hiding. There was something inside of me, like undermining me, like trying to stay hidden where it just felt safe. And
like isolating?
Yeah, like, I had Tiger Lily and it was like crowded every week and we'd have these great lineups. And
yeah, you started that room with Maria
Bamford.
And was it just you two?
It was Maria Bamford, Natasha Leggero,
and you,
and me, and Los Feliz.
In Los Feliz at the Cuban restaurant?
Yeah. I thought it would be a weekly show that would last like a month, and it just ran for 10 years. It had a life of its own. Right.
So maybe we'll back up and back in and then drive into the trauma. So when do you run away from home?
So I left home 3 days after high school, so 18 years old.
So you're like fucking done. As soon as you could.
Yes. I had to go. Mm. And I did feel guilty. I didn't want to leave my brothers there, but I had to go.
Mm. And you came here?
No. So because we had been moved from Colorado Springs, where all of my friends were and my boyfriend and stuff, I wanted to go back and be with them for that summer. So I told my mom, I'm going to Colorado Springs for the summer with no intent of ever coming back. But she didn't know that.
Right.
So I went to Colorado Springs to try to, be with all my friends. Well, they've all moved on. High school's over. They're all going to college, And so I'm just there, like the loneliest feeling in the world, like trying to.
Oh my God. So you go back to get some, I'm going to go back home where my friends are. And they're like, and no one's
I'm going to
gone.
get
Everyone's
my
gone.
teen years back.
Oh,
and they're gone.
Sad story.
Everyone's moved on.
Wow.
So I took this weird nanny job. I had a scholarship. I had a theater scholarship to Wichita State University. And I was like, well, I'm going to take 6 months off and take this weird nanny job.
Why is it weird?
It paid like $200 a month.
Not much. And you lived at the house?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I took care of these 4 children.
4?
And I was like 18.
Crazy. Were the parents weird?
No. It was a sweet woman. She was a flight attendant.
Oh, okay.
She was always gone. But I think I just took it in the moment because I needed like a place to stay. And then I just ended up staying there for like the whole semester. And then I was like, what am I doing? I need to go to school. And I moved back and took my scholarship.
So you went from taking care of your siblings to taking care of strange kids.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't call them strange. They were sweet, but
the caretaker role followed you around.
Right. And
So you go to Wichita.
Yeah. So I go to Wichita.
And you get your theater degree.
I do a bunch of plays and a bunch of writing classes. And that's where I got like a lot of, I had already been doing plays for years.
So you went for 4 years? You did the whole thing?
No. I did a year there and I did a year at KU in Lawrence.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Did you get a degree or no?
No.
Fuck it.
I went...
You got some skills.
I did some writing classes, got some skills, and then I came here and went to acting school.
Where?
Joanne Barron.
Joanne Barron. She's still around?
I believe so.
Was there famous people? Who were her famous people?
Her famous people are like Robin Wright Penn. That's all I can think of.
They all have one.
No, I'm sure there are many. I don't.
Yeah.
Did you go to acting school?
I did not go to acting school, but I did study some acting with Marc Howard in New York briefly.
Okay.
I took it here and there, but I would never say I studied for very long.
Do you feel that it helped you, or you didn't really need it because you always just play yourself, right?
Now, wait a minute. I think that I'm a nuanced actor that does different variations. I don't know how that didn't land well.
Well, I feel like a lot of comedians are such good actors and dramatic actors as well. And then some really they're just straight comedy, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really do any acting until much later. I mean, it didn't really, it was really here and there. And I never tried to do it because I always believed that there were just, at some point, there were just people better at sitcoms than me. I can't do it. So
I feel like you're great. I think you're great in Glow.
Yeah, but that was like 4 years ago, right? So I was 50-something years old. I mean, that's really the first acting job I really had was doing Marin.
I feel like, though, that's...
my late 40s.
But that's perfect.
No, I'm not complaining.
Like divine timing.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that none of it was going to happen. And it didn't happen. And I guess my point was I never really put myself out there to be an actor. I couldn't handle it.
Right.
Because like I have so much invested in my own work to go and do like mediocre scripts and have this garbage come out of your mouth and have that be your life and worry about whether you can deliver the garbage well. I mean, it's like, fuck it.
Yeah.
And I don't even think
I
had representation for a decade. I mean, I think Dave Becky used to tell me that I had representation, but I really don't think I did.
What's that mean?
I just don't think I had an agent. I think I had, every once in a while he'd get somebody to do him a favor and send me out a few times until I didn't get anything. And then I just stopped fucking worrying about it.
Yeah. Well, that's when things happen, right?
No, there wasn't.
Stop worrying about it.
When things happened is when I fired Dave Becky. I lost everything. Mishna left me, crushed my life. I had nothing, and I didn't know what was going to happen. That's when it happened. Not when I gave up. That's when it happened. Where I'm like, I guess it's not going to work out. That's when it happened. Not when I'm like, I don't give a fuck. When I seriously was just sort of like, it's over, and I'm going to have to figure something out.
I've had such similar experiences of just giving up.
Oh, yeah.
And then there it is,
Right.
But it's just giving up that plan and being like, okay, I guess this isn't going to be a thing.
Well, yeah, but you've had so many things and so many things that went for a while that almost went. I mean, so like when did it start? I mean, because like there's things you created that went for a while.
Yeah.
Like, when did all that start happening? I mean, you've been plugging along.
I have been plugging along. I mean, I guess, after acting school, they have a little consultation at the end, and my teacher was like, I think you should go into comedy. You're accidentally funny. You're doing these serious scenes, and
now
everyone's
you just have
laughing.
To figure out how to do it on purpose. Good luck with that.
That's my next special, accidentally funny.
Yeah.
So I went to the Groundlings.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I had never even really seen stand-up at this point. My brother was a huge comedy fan. But I went through the Groundlings. I learned how to write sketches.
Were you ever in the company?
No. So I advanced through all the levels to the very tip-top level. And then at that precipice, right before you go into Sunday company, I, along with 10 other people in our 12-person class, were cut.
Oh.
Devastating. And it was a very talented, tremendously talented group. It was like Mikey Day, who's on SNL now.
The guys you got cut?
Brian Keith Etheridge. Well, Mikey I think they told him to repeat. And Brian Keith Etheridge, who's a big TV writer, and Kristen Wiig. And it was like a great group. But at that point, I was cut from there. And I was devastated. Imagine like spending like every night going to these shows and taking all the classes and writing all these sketches.
Working towards this thing.
Working towards a thing and really putting your heart and soul in this basket. And,
holy shit.
And then the basket gets up and walks away.
Ugh.
So.
First lesson in show business.
What's the lesson?
It's not necessarily a meritocracy. It doesn't end well for many people. And it's filled with rejection.
That's right. And so at that time, first I was like, I'm quitting acting. Yeah? I'm quitting acting.
Yeah, where are you going to go?
Forget it.
Where are you going to go?
It's over.
Are you going to go
End
back
of the
to
road
Kansas?
here. Yeah, I guess. Is Kansas hiring? I don't know.
The state? Yeah. I'd like to apply to Kansas.
Kansas, do you remember me? Is it too late? I'm sorry I left.
That's your next one-person show. There's a lot of titles are coming up during this episode. Kansas, do you still remember me? That's a book. That's not a comedy special. That's a book. So
anyway,
you didn't quit acting.
I did quit, and I took a job at waitressing, and out of the blue, this agent called me, and they're like, we saw you at the Groundling show.
Oh, great. They dragged you back in.
They're like, we just put a voiceover booth in. We think you'd be great at voiceovers. So I went in and auditioned for this voiceover.
Yeah.
I booked it.
Yeah.
It ran 4 years.
Oh, my God.
It won the Emmy for Outstanding Commercial.
Really?
And
you made some money.
And I found out I got the job while I was in the bank for identity theft. I found out I'd been identity thefted with all these checks. So I'm like waitressing at this job, making like $13 a night. I've quit acting. I've got these checks that people have washed my checks that I dropped in the Los Feliz post office. And I'm in there sorting that out. And my agent calls, who sent me on one audition, and they're like, you booked it. And I just thought it was like a spec thing. I was going to pay like $50. And it was like this giant commercial campaign for Citibank.
Wow. And how many spots did you do?
That was it. It was the OG original Citibank spot with the guy sitting in the recliner, and he's had his identity stolen by a Valley girl, and that was me going like, first I emptied the checking account, and there in the video was this sexy little outfit, that thing.
Yeah.
I just had to have it, that thing.
Yeah.
So that ran. And then I started doing stand-up because I was like, well.
That thing ran a long time, right? That commercial?
Ran 4 years.
But that was back in the day where you made a little money on that shit.
Yeah, you made a lot of great money on those campaigns. And then I was doing stand-up, and there was an agent in the audience from ICM Voice, so I got signed to ICM Voice, and then I was like working all the time in voiceover. So that happened right after saying I'm never acting again.
Voiceover, that was the secret, because I was always sort of like, what does Melinda Hill do? I know she's doing stand-up over here, but like, does she go on the road? What does she do? Voiceover. The secret voiceover life.
Yeah, I've done a lot of voiceover, and then the Groundling stuff really came in handy because it was like using all those characters and voices, and then I started doing those in my act, and then and then I got on Adventure Time cartoon.
You did a lot of episodes of that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Did you do it too?
I did one episode. But it seems like they called you back all the time. You did a bunch of characters?
I did a few, like, I don't know, 5. And then, like, when Maria Bamford was doing her show, they just would hire me to fill in for her voices.
Really?
Yeah, when she was doing it.
She's on Adventure Time a lot?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Maria does so much voice stuff.
Oh, really? I didn't realize.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of voice stuff? It seems like you would.
I don't. I do. I have done lately. I did a flying squirrel on Adventure Time. In voiceovers, they're not looking for me to have a lot of range. They want me to be what I am, usually. Mm-hmm. Like, I've just done 2 movies that are roughly different degrees of me. Like, I don't do much of this.
I don't do that voice.
No, I don't do it. I don't do any of this. Oh, no, please don't.
But they're like, we went.
The cranky guy. We got a cranky snail.
Yeah, I offered you. Remember, I offered you a part in my series as the angry guy.
Yeah.
And you were like, I can't